Hello, Mrs. Wilcox. Really excited to talk to you today about Otis. Um, we First of all, we love Otis in our classroom. He's honestly so helpful, and I know that when I call on him to answer questions, he is gonna answer and he's gonna be really helpful. And I can always count on him, even when the whole class is going crazy and being really off task. I can always count on him to be on task and to always be working. And it is just really, in a kindergarten class, you really value that a lot. He's just such a hard worker and so positive and just has such a good presence in the class. And as for his reading this year, he's made so much progress with his sight words recently. Ever since we talked about his reading level the other day, I can tell that you guys have been practicing with him, and he just moved on to first grade sight words, and he is doing really well with those. And so we're really proud of him. He's made a lot of progress in that. Something that we do with all of our students pretty regularly is we give them assessments to, not even to give them like a grade or whatever, but just to measure like where they are so that we know like what we want to work on with them next. And so we give these assessments periodically throughout the year just so that we can continuously know like where our students are progressing and what we can do with them to help them more. And with Otis, we gave him 2 assessments recently. We tested him on high frequency words on the sight words just because since he did move on to first grade words, we wanted to make sure that he was he had all of the words solid that are just like those basic high frequency words, because oftentimes they'll pass off some of their sight words and then they forget them when they don't practice. But he did really well with that assessment actually, so we're not too worried about his high frequency words. And we also did a running record, which is where he reads a passage out loud of text, and we just mark, like, we just take notes as he's reading. We take notes of where he made errors, where he made self-corrections, and it just helps us know, like, overall where he is with fluency and where he is with his reading, like what things he might be struggling with, and what things he's doing really well at. So based off of these assessments, there were 2 main things that we wanted to work on with Otis. The first one was when it comes to like sounding out long words, we noticed that he kind of struggles a little bit, but he does really well at like using strategies to try and figure out what the word might be. Like he'll use picture clues, and he'll sound out beginning sounds to try and figure out what words are, but then he won't necessarily sound out the entire word, and he'll just use the pictures to guess, which oftentimes does work, but oftentimes it doesn't. And so we wanted to work on that with him to help him so that he can decode those longer words all on his own. And the other thing we wanted for him is just to have more confidence as a reader, because as he was reading out loud for the running record, he seemed pretty hesitant, but it was funny because he actually is so good at reading fluently when there are shorter words, like his sight words, or when they're just like three-letter words, or any shorter words he's so good at, and he's really fluent, but he's like pretty tentative as he reads. And so we just want to build confidence with him because he really is a good reader, and we want him to know that. So we just wanted to let you know what we're doing at school to help him with those things. We did a one-on-one lesson with Otis where we segmented big words, and then we sounded out the smaller letter chunks and blended them together so that he could know what to do when he came to a big word. So basically what we did was we wrote out a long word, and then we separated it into smaller chunks. We had him slow down and just take a look at the word and separate it into the chunks, sounded out each chunk, and then blended it together. Doing that is just like a basic strategy that we want him to be able to have throughout his reading experience. Another thing that we're doing in class to build those abilities with sounding out words is we helped him segment. Oh, something that we wanted to do with helping build his confidence. And this is a strategy that is provided in the Tompkins textbook, is we wanted to provide authentic reading and writing experiences, which basically means like doing shared read-to-write activities, guided reading activities, individual reading. We're just providing like a very rich literacy environment in our classroom. And we're also, and this helps not only with the confidence, but also back to like decoding the longer words. We're working on like our phonics chant so that he knows those words, and we're working on our sight words every single day just to reinforce that. And so those are just a few of the things that we're doing at school to help Otis so that he can progress as a reader. There were some things we wanted to suggest that you can do at home. Again, with this is a strategy that comes from our Tompkins textbook, is we just want you to be able to provide those valuable reading and writing experiences at home as well. So just encourage him to read on his own or read with him, and maybe you guys could even write in a journal together. Just practice his reading and writing as much as you can, just to build that confidence. And something else another strategy that's in our textbook is to introduce new words like within the context, which basically means when you do come across a new word in your reading, to pause and slow down and say, okay, let's like really look at this word. Let's figure out what it means. It would be really helpful to have a picture to show what the word means. And then just as you see that word in any moment, any context, just point it out and be like, oh, there's that word. And so we wanted to suggest that at home so that he can further build confidence as a reader. We also wanted to suggest at home to help him with sounding out big words and decoding that is we want you to be able to help him as well to, when you see big words in books that you're reading, to separate those, to break it down into smaller chunks and sound out the smaller chunks, but we want you to specifically help with like blending those sounds together. So once you do sound out those smaller chunks, try and blend them all together to make that complete word. And I think that would really help Otis with his reading. Again, part of the assessments is we really do notice his strengths, and like I said earlier, he's a very strong reader when it comes to reading sight words and reading those shorter words. We call them CVC words. It's where it starts with a consonant, has a vowel in the middle, and then a consonant at the end. Just those shorter words. When those are strung together, he can read them pretty fluently. He's really good at that. And he is really good at recognizing sight words when they're in the context of a story. That's a big problem that we tend to have in kindergarten, is our kids will oftentimes have a difficult time learning their sight words on the card form and then actually reading them in a text, and he's very good at actually reading them in text. He's also really good at comprehension. Even when there are a few words that are longer and he doesn't know what they are, he generally, whenever we do guided reading, he can get the main idea of the story really easily, and he's very good at providing details from the text, and so that's really awesome. So basically, just as a review, we wanted to say like what you can do as a parent, like I said earlier, to help him with like decoding those longer words. Focus on when you're reading with him at home, when you do come across a longer word, say, oh, let's break this up into smaller chunks, and break it up into smaller chunks, and then blend those sounds together. So that's something you can do. When he learns new words, point them out wherever you see them in all the different contexts. Encourage reading at home as much as possible. I know that you work and it's very difficult with work schedules, but wherever you can, to just read with him. Encourage that he reads on his own even. And honestly, mostly just be really positive, because he is a good reader and we want him to know that. We want him to have that confidence. And so just really encourage him in his reading so that he can know that about himself, and so that he can emulate that and have more confidence as a reader as he goes forward. It was really nice to talk to you today, and really, we love having Otis in the classroom, and we hope to be able to talk to you again soon.